Hello and welcome to CPRE 161 Programming Practice for Engineers. My name is Joe Zambrino, and this class is a reflection of my personal philosophy that really the best way to learn how to program is through practice, is through experience. Today we're going to be talking about just an overall introduction to the course and some of the course logistics. Start with the catalog description and why this course exists. This is a one credit course for which the primary prerequisite is either having taken or in the process of taking an Engineering 160 or equivalent course. And this class is intended for those students who are in Engineering 160 or an equivalent course for engineering basic problem solving and would like to continue on to the computer science sequence as part of their computer engineering, software engineering, or cybersecurity engineering majors. This is an alternative pathway for those students. For students who have already declared as a computer engineering, software engineering, or cybersecurity engineering student and have already taken or are in the process of taking CPRE 185 or SE 185, you already meet the prerequisite for that ComSci 227 course. You should be learning a lot of introductory programming in the context of engineering problem solving. And while this course could help supplement what you've already learned, it's not really necessary for you to meet the prerequisites for that follow on course and courses. But for those of you who were either an undeclared engineering student or originally declared in a major that didn't have a primary programming focus in the engineering problem solving 100 level course, or perhaps you're transferring into Iowa State University and would like to become a computer E, SE, or a Sci E student, then this course is really for you. You're in this course now, you have taken or are in the process of taking the engineering problem solving course, and taken together, you really will meet that prerequisite for ComSci 227. And my hope is not only do you have the minimum prerequisite for that course, my hope is you'll feel really prepared for any future programming based courses, such as the ones that build upon ComSci 227, that's ComSci 228, CPRE 288, and a number of other programming courses that with your broadened programming and engineering skill set, you'll really be ready to kind of kickstart your academic and later professional career of either programming or working with programmers. A little bit about the course organization. By design, CPRE 161 is an asynchronously offered, self paced experience. And I have both those terms underlined there. It is asynchronously offered, meaning we're not meeting at a predefined time at any point during the week in the semester. And it's a self paced experience, meaning while there's some recommended deadlines for when I would hope and expect you can get certain modules of the course done, it's kind of up to you to pace based on your availability, based on your passion, based on your interest, based on your ability of what you're able to accomplish in a certain period of time. You're pacing yourself as long as you get it done by the end of the semester. The primary core of the course are these 12 learning modules that each contain the following. There's a conceptual topic overview that I'll provide the slides for. There'll also be one or two videos for you to review. As part of that video, there'll be a live programming session illustrating how that concept can be applied in practice. There'll then also be a short quiz relating to that topic. These will be relatively quick quizzes with just a few multiple choice or fill in the blank type questions available in them. And then, as the primary core of the class, there's these programming practice assignments relating to that conceptual topic. It's asynchronous and it's self paced, but it's also meant to be sort of a sequential experience as well. So the idea is that you'll complete the prior learning module before beginning the subsequent topic. I'll provide those sort of recommended due dates based on my estimate of an appropriate pacing for the course, when you should hope to have a certain learning module completed. But as long as you have them done by the end of the semester, that's fine for this course. My goal and my estimate is that for the conceptual and videos of live programming, that's going to be about 45 minutes in a given learning module. The quiz itself is anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes in length. So, taken together, that's about an hour you can expect of conceptual and other videos to review and a quiz to take for each learning module. And then the remainder of the time for each learning module is going to be dedicated to the programming practice. That is the primary focus of the course. That is where I expect you to be spending the majority of your time in this course. That's really the whole point of the course is the programming practices. It's a relatively compressed schedule. The goal is that you can take this to allow you to then take the computer science course starting in the subsequent semester. So, in general, 12 learning modules on a more compressed schedule. Getting the first two learning modules and programming practices done in this first week is very doable, is very expected, very doable, and you can continue on with those next ones based on the suggested deadlines there. The grading policies also sort of reflect where the real emphasis is on this course. The short quizzes, there's 10 of them, roughly 5 questions each, and that's going to be worth 20% of your grade. You can take the quizzes multiple times. You should get 100% on those quizzes. The remainder of the 80% of the score for your grade in this class is the 12 programming practice assignments. Each of those have 5 programs each, so there's really 60 programs you'll be writing and submitting this semester. They are of varying difficulty. The difficulty starts to scale up around the fifth or sixth programming practice assignment. That's where your focus should be. That's where my focus will be in assisting you. That's where the vast majority of your time is going to be spent. We'll be using the default Iowa State grading scheme for this. And because you can submit and resubmit the programs and the quizzes, we can absolutely hit a class 4.0. That is always my goal. It's a very achievable goal in this course. But it's not an easy course. And I certainly highly recommend you have sort of collaborative discussion. As the programming difficulty as well as the conceptual difficulty starts to ramp up, to be successful in this course, you're going to need to be resourceful. You're going to need to be able to ask questions, ask the right kind of questions, seek help. Don't expect just to toil by yourself in a lonely situation, just banging your head against the monitor and expecting it to eventually work. There's some difficulty here. I do want you to be able to ask questions and be resourceful. The programming platform, this Replit platform we are using, makes it really easy for me to be able to give you live feedback and advice. You're stuck on a problem, you let me know. I can quickly take a look and give you my suggestion for where maybe you can look next to help improve the code that you're working on. I want you to be collaborative, but just remember the key caveat that the submissions are expected to be your own. So certainly for the quizzes, please just don't cheat on the quizzes. They're multiple choice and short answer. I won't be able to detect if you've done so, but in terms of academic integrity, please don't do so. The programming practices submissions are checked for approximate closeness. I do analyze what is submitted for those. I get timestamp and other system information about the submissions you're providing for those. So while you're collaborating with others, you're learning from others, don't just copy paste solutions from either from online sources or from other students. Whether that's a huge issue in this class, that's something you're certainly going to face in other classes, in programming classes going forward, and you have to be careful for that. So have a collaborative atmosphere, but the work has got to be your own. These are individual programs, individual submissions for the quizzes and for the programming practices. I just want to make sure everyone feels comfortable being in this course. And a question I want you to ask yourself is really, how well do you already know how to program? You're taking some or have taken some introductory engineering problem solving course involving computer supported problem solving. So you should be learning something about programming. But I ask this question for a reason. I tend to students can kind of either self-assessed or be assessed into one of these 4 quadrants based on the one axis, your actual expertise in programming, and the other axis, maybe your self-perception of your own expertise in programming. And depending on where you fall in this quadrant, you may want to take a different tack on this course. Certainly, if you are very good at programming already, you have a lot of experience, whether through just life experience or other courses you've taken, and you know that you have a high self perception of your own expertise, you'll do just fine in this course. I think there'll still be some challenge here for you, and I think you'll appreciate some of that challenge, but you'll be just fine in this course. Get started early. Let me know where you get stuck if you do get stuck, but I think you'll be just fine in this course. It's a lot less common that you have quite a bit of programming expertise, but you don't think you do. That's not a very common case. And if that's the case, you'll be pleasantly surprised as you work on the course that every step along the way you're doing just fine. If you don't have a high self perception of your own expertise, and in fact, you don't have a lot of expertise in programming yet, that's also great. This course is for you. This course is for those who are going to gain more experience, who are going to get more practice in programming to prepare you for subsequent programming courses. This course is for you. You need to be resourceful. You need to be willing to reach out and ask for help when you're stuck on something, but this course is for you. I'm here for you. That's the whole point of this course, is to serve that lower left quadrant of those who don't have that experience yet and really need to gain that experience. The only category of students that I have to watch out for, and you have to check that you're not in that category, is if you have really kind of high self perception of your own programming expertise and background, but in reality you really don't. You maybe have only just dabbled or done a couple of relatively simple things. The difficulty starts out pretty simple as we all get kind of uh, acclimated to the programming environment and the Canvas setup for this course. It does ramp up. Don't assume just because the first couple of programming assignments are relatively straightforward that the whole class is going to be relatively straightforward. This is not an easy course, even though it's a one credit course. Watch out if you find yourself falling into that lower right quadrant that we have here. I've already briefly mentioned that this is going to be a C programming course. C is a relatively old programming language, probably older than everyone taking the course. Very commonly used in things like system software and compilers and operating systems. Also very common for embedded systems applications as well. So a pretty common question is, why is this course using C programming? C is almost or more than 50 years old now. Why am I, instructor, making you use it? And I have a few good answers, I think, to that question. C, by design, abstracts very little from the underlying architecture. While that can make it a little bit frustrating, and maybe there's a slightly higher learning curve with C than some other programming languages, the benefit is really there as well, that you really requires you to understand how the underlying computer systems work to become a proficient C programmer. The other reason why C is a good introductory programming language is the programming skill set for C is very upwardly mobile. And what I mean by that is if you become proficient in C, and you will by the end of this semester, when you pick up C++, when you learn Java in ComSci 227, when you look at something like C Sharp, you'll be just fine with it. You need the documentation, you need the book, but the concepts you'll be just fine with. You'll do great with those languages and those courses you eventually take. And even those really higher level language like your Python or your Golang or your JavaScript, they'll actually astound you in a really good way. As you're looking to solve a particular problem in those frameworks, in those languages, you'll find that, well, I know how to do the 200 line C program, but there's actually a one line Python version of the same. You'll still have learned the fundamentals of programming. You'll just be able to be more efficient as a programmer as you pick up those higher level language and frameworks there. And finally, the reason why I'm quote unquote making you use C programming, C language here, is that really all that matters is the fundamentals of programming for engineers. What's hot in software development will change by the time you graduate anyway. Um, so I really wouldn't, overthink about one particular language or this language is better some other language. We're learning the fundamentals here. We're going to learn them in the context of C, so there are some C-isms that we'll be seeing over and over again during this semester. But what you learn will directly apply to other things, and what is the coolest thing is going to change by the time you graduate anyway. And finally, the last topic I want to leave it on here before we take a quick look at Canvas are the primary class resources available to you. My expectation is that each learning module is going to be self-contained, and that by reviewing the lectures, both the actual slides that I provide as well as the corresponding videos, you should be able to complete the corresponding programming practice and short quiz assignments. That is my goal, that they're self-contained in that sense. That doesn't always happen. So when you do find that you need more help, and all these links are available on our main Canvas site, each programming practice on assignment on the Replit platform we're using has links to all the relevant documentation. I do provide some hints for many of the harder programs as they start to ramp up a bit in difficulty. Review that carefully. I didn't waste a lot of text when writing those. If I wrote a hint suggesting consider using this function to solve this problem, you should really strongly consider using that function to solve that problem. We're also going to be using Discord this semester for all class discussion. I can be having some both in-person office hours as well as some virtual office hours through there. Um, it's hopefully going to be active. And with an active Discord, there'll be lots of students in the same exact situation you're in. If you have a question, it's likely there's a dozen other students who have the same exact question. You have to have a certain level of confidence to kind of speak up and ask questions and be willing to, show something that's not working. And it happens to all of us, but you have to kind of overcome that to be successful as a programmer. My hope is that's going to be a really active resource. I plan on being pretty active on there personally. When you have a bug, I'll get excited. I'll come check it out. I'll come help you with it. We'll get past the bugs. The intention is never in this course for you to be kind of silently suffering. And as I said, banging your head against the monitor. And then, as I said already, I'm going to have office hours this semester. I love helping students, work through programming problems. I love helping you get from not knowing how to do something to really learning and discovering how to do something. Please don't be a stranger this semester. And then, while we don't have any required textbooks for the course, I do provide on Canvas a few different sort of recommended or just other resources in terms of textbook type resources for learning how to program in C. I don't think any of them are necessary, but for different reasons, those are three that I like that you can review. If there's something that you think is kind of missing in any of the slides or videos, I'm hoping to cover the key aspects of that through these lectures. And finally, let's go to Canvas and take a quick look at our Canvas page here for the course. Here's sort of the student view of our Canvas page. As I mentioned, the first three things to look at would be here's the Discord. So take a look at the Discord for it, sign up for it. If you're not on the Discord, I'm not going to be able to help you in any asynchronous online sort of way. You're going to join the class Replit page. If you click on that link, sign in with your Iowa State account, create an account, you'll be able to access the programming practice assignments right away. And then you're already watching this video, so you've already managed to figure out part three for this here. This is also just effectively a summary of what the class structure is, but we can take a look briefly at what the first learning module includes. It's these lectures, it's the actual videos associated with them, and then it's a link to the Canvas submission for the first programming practice assignment. That's a separate video that describes how you actually go through the submission process for those assignments, and you'll want to watch that separately as you get started on the first programming practice assignment. But that's how it's going to proceed. They're sequential, so you have to finish learning module one. Technically, you don't have to get every question correct. So I have it set currently that if you just get a couple of points on the quiz and on the programming practice, you can proceed to the next one. More likely, I think what would happen is you'd want to get at least, let's say, 4 of the 5 programs completed before you start to take a look at the next set of programs to work on. You can go back and update your submission at any point before the end of the semester and get credit for that submission. So while it doesn't need to be perfect, I think it's important that you've made some progress along the way. But what I'd really like for all of you to do next is really to get started, to dive into Canvas, to take a look at the first assignment, to take a look at the first quiz. Um, you should be able to get through the first 2 programming practices in this kind of first week you're here in the semester, and then I'll be providing those kind of suggested deadlines for the rest of the content as we go. We haven't covered any programming yet. There's going to be a separate video where we kind of get started with our first program. But for now, feel free to please join our Discord, join our Replit, and I'm excited to see your progress as we get started here. Okay, that's all for now, and I'll see you as we start to look at our very first program in C.